Guys, it is about that time. I just got done downloading, unraveling, and just organizing the tracks so I got the proper listen through. And I'm about to fucking listen to it, man. A lot of people have been blown away by it. I haven't seen any. What the fuck is this? Any negative comments or reviews about it. I just heard like amazing praise for it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go through it track by track. I'm gonna listen to it, and then I'll be back in a little bit just to discuss it with notes and whatnot, stuff like that. So yeah, man, I'll be back. Do not adjust your set. One moment. Yes. Guys, I am finally back. I'm listening to the Unraveling, new mini album from Darren Gray. I have a different shirt on because this is actually the day after the last one that I did. The file got like fucked up and I was like, Jesus. So I'm gonna re-say what I said the last time. To be honest, the mini album was pretty good. I did enjoy it a little bit. There definitely were some potholes though that I want to talk about. But honestly, let's go up. Where is that? Where's the track list? Let me just pull it up. Because I just want to do like a short track by track, and then I'll talk as a whole what I felt. Most people, when they talked about this album so far, or they preface that mini album, really haven't talked about. So okay, good. Where we at? Unraveling should be good. There you go. All right. Well, I will say, the original track, The Unraveling, was one hell of a good track. It really started off this little release very well. As far as the style of it, musically, it did feel kind of like a different since part two. Like some of the notes and the chords and everything, it sounded kind of different sensey, but kind of like toned down a little bit when it comes to just aggression and how hard hitting it was. From a listening standpoint, I got these two little speakers right here, and they sounded very good. The mix sounded great. Another thing that really, I was kind of really hating about recent releases with Darren Gray is that Toshi's bass sounded so fucking terrible. I'm not saying that he played bad. I'm just saying like the sound of the bass sounded like he was like beating the shit out of tinfoil. Like it didn't sound bassy. It just sounded like because he plays like with a more slap oriented style. More rhythm slap oriented style, and we have a trebly bass just sitting in the back, and then the bass is the base of the music. So like that's like eating a sandwich with no meat on it. It's just cheese and mayonnaise. There's nothing there to support it, So with this one, the Unraveling, it sounded way better. It came through every once in a while, but it was mixed well, where there was no one instrument overpowering the other. So it ended up sounding really good. And Kyo is doing Kyo's thing. He was singing well. I mean, there was nothing really to report on that. It was just a good song. As far as the PV, I don't know when the PV is coming out, but that will come when it comes. The second one was Karma. Karma was a good one too. I will say out of this whole album, I'm gonna call it an album. Out of this whole album, I really enjoyed the 3Ks. Karma, Kasumi, and Karasu. Those are the ones I enjoyed the most, but we'll see for number 2, Karma, or Waza, depending on where you get it from. If you don't know what Karma came from, because a lot of people will look back on these tracks and say, oh yeah, I know Kasumi, that's from Vulgar, I know Karasu. When people think of Karma, they're like, what the fuck? Karma actually was never released as like a single or a B-side or whatever. It was actually featured as a PV on one of their first VHS PV collections called If Trans. No, Kaede If Trans. It's on there. And that's where the song is from. It was never featured as like a song, like a recording. But it was a song that they did, probably around like 97, 98 when they first came out, around the Misa era. So that is a song that most people don't know about. One thing about this new version is that they kept, I like how they didn't take a song and they say they're remaking it, but they didn't turn it into this whole separate entity. Like it had the key parts of the original Karma, but they updated it, they upgraded it. They didn't really remake it. They just added bits and pieces. There's obviously a different guitar tone. Kyo's a way different singer now, way different musicians, different musical path. But they kept it so like when I listen to it, I can say, "Oh yeah, this is Karma." I can enjoy it from nostalgia. That's also a key thing. Like for instance, one thing about Karma is that one of the main parts of the song is this part like it's like and they kept that in there, but instead of it being like that, standard tune guitar, it was like this brother, and it sounded amazing. Even some of the vocal parts, there's another rhythm part that is key to Karma. It's like, and they kept that in there as well. But when you listen to it from the original and listen to this one, it's like it's just so much heavier and so much meat to it. It's great. It's really good. Enjoyed the hell out of that song. Definitely was a banger. Kill was really going in on the growls and screams. It was very enjoyable. I can see that being like a banger up with the new Zon at live shows. So the next one is Kasumi. So Kasumi, yeah, that was released on Vulgar. That one is more of a cover to me because there were so little things done to it that it really didn't do much as far as like, oh, they're really like tweaking it really good. It was just a nice little cover, there really isn't much to report on that because again, it's just an updated version. That's all it is. There's no added bonuses or anything like that. So that's that. I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, definitely. Come on! My dog's right outside. What the fuck you gonna do, bitch? Ugh. Now the next one is Karasu. Karasu was featured on the 2004 album Darren Gray. It's called Kiso. And this is when I first started getting into Darren Gray, this is one of the first songs that caught my attention because it's so atmospheric. It still is one of my favorite songs until I heard this one. What I like about this one compared to other songs on here, save I guess Bomb at Death Valley, this song doesn't really grab you or anything like that. It kind of hugs you in and just pats your back and just like, hey, I am a song. This is really nice. God damn, that airplane's loud as hell. And it's just like, yeah, I'm here. Let's listen to this song. One thing that I was a little bit about is because of the fact that in the original one there is a tapping thing. It's tapping with a loop on it, so it adds that kind of, Whereas this one, it was just a note, just repeat it, which it's a small complaint, but I just felt like the tapping, the alternating notes made it a little bit cooler, and just the guitar effects they added onto the beginning of it really was developing. It really emphasized atmosphere. That's the thing. So yeah, that was that. The song itself, again, they added little parts just to make it a little bit more heavier, a little bit more aggressive. Obviously, it's 2013 now, so they're playing definitely heavier, lower tune, chuggy guitars, with strong rhythm parts on that. So it was another enjoyable one. Now, like I said a couple minutes ago, those are the ones I enjoyed the most. Now we're going to start critiquing shit. Now, before I listened to it, Bomb of the Death Valley was one that people were kind of, I don't know, kind of wishy-washy on, I guess. Some people liked it, some people were kind of in, but not a real hate for it, but just kind of mediocre. And I can kind of see why. For one, I feel like, since this is a song that Toshio composed originally, or contributed ideas to, I felt like I wish he was standing out more. I mean, aside from the intro. One thing I didn't like about, one thing I didn't like about this song and a later song I'll talk about is that it felt kind of sloppy. Like, and I don't mean sloppy as far as his playing, I mean sloppy as far as his tone. I felt like there was a little too much gain on it, so it was the buzzing and the fret rubbing off. It just didn't sound too good. For the simpler parts, it sounded great. When he was actually trying to do like kind of add on to it, it just didn't sound as clean as it could have been. It kind of detracted from the overall experience. So that song is good, and one thing that I can see why people were so mediocre, like we're not into it too much, is because if you listen to the original Bomba to Death Valley, which featured on Kiso as well, um, that one definitely hits you harder. There's a mellow part, like it just comes out of nowhere and punches you in the face part, and then it's just like, oh shit, this is a heavy song. Whereas this one, instead of it going like, well actually, what the fuck am I doing? VOT bottom. All right, so look. Here we go. It just like comes out of nowhere, and it sounds even louder in the live shows. So that really didn't happen in the newer one, where it was kind of smoothed out. Any of the real sharp, aggressive parts was kind of smoothed out. The solo that I'm assuming Dai did was very good. I did enjoy the solo on this one, and the ending was a little bit you know. But it is what it is. I mean, it's still enjoyable, but I mean, when I'm comparing it to the original, which I'm gonna do because it's mostly a remake mini album, I feel like the new one's still a bit better. You know, I just feel that way. So that's that. All right, next one, Unknown to Spirit Lost. I will definitely say this is probably my least favorite track on the album, because of the fact that it's so far gone from the original. You know, what I was saying earlier about them taking the original, keeping the basic blueprint, and then just tweaking it and upgrading it a little bit. They didn't seem to do that on this one. It seemed like they were deviating away from that. So I mean, it started off with just acoustic guitar, and the things come in. It's just the vibes. It just wasn't hitting me. Like if this was just a separate song, if this was not Unknown to Spirit Lost new version, this is a good song, but I'm gonna put it up against the new one. I mean, I'm gonna put it up against the old one that they did, since they're calling it Unknown to Spirit Lost. And they definitely did lose me in the whatever. You know, it doesn't hit me as well as it could, because I was expecting like that kind of like I was trying to. And I was thinking they was gonna, like in my mind before I heard it, I thought they were gonna like do some kind of like thrashy kind of like real to speedy kind of like update to it, but it just didn't end up being that way, and it kind of lost me on it. Like, I mean, again, I'm not saying it's a bad track, but I'm saying in comparison to in comparison to what they're taking it from, it's definitely a downgrade. It's definitely not as good as it was. And I would say the transitions were a little bit like the transition from parts to part were a little bit overlapping, so I really couldn't follow it as well. It was just I wasn't feeling it. The final again was kind of similar to Kasumi in the fact that it was just a straight cover. There really wasn't anything to tell you on that. I mean, if you listen to the original one from Whipping to Death, it's pretty much the same thing. It's nothing really that amazing or extravagant about it. Still a good track. The final in itself is a great track. It was one of the songs that I heard when I first got into Darren Gray that I really was a fan of. So yeah, I mean, the final is the final. You know, nothing really to report on that. The Macabre, I am let down, and the reason I'm let down is not because of the song itself. It's mainly because of the mixing. Well, two things: the mixing and Kill's vocals. Okay, the mixing, I'll talk about that. The mixing is a thing for me because there are times when I listen to a song and the potential of the song is either like increase or decrease depending on how well mixed the instruments and the vocals are. When I hear the original Macabre, which in my personal opinion as a Darren Gray fan is like Darren Gray's magnum opus, better than Vinshuka, better than fucking Bonnie Toss, all that shit, you know. I say Zakudo is a close second, but Macabre is amazing. It's probably, I would argue, it's probably one of the top 5 best songs they ever made. But Macabre, the original, started off with that tribal drum beat, doom, ga doom, 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 ga doom, you know, and in the original one, they had like a slight phaser effect to it, but it was still kind of like, boom, 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 like it was pounding, right? Whereas this one thing that I recently realized that they've been doing with these recent releases, that they make the drums sound so compressed. Like, if you listen to Shinya live, it bugs the fuck out of me when he doesn't play those big booming drums anymore. It sounds like so dry, like tang, 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 you know? He's a powerful drummer, but it doesn't come across. He's playing these little tingy little drum sets, you know, and it doesn't add to the power of the song, you know. But that came through on Macabre, you know, and I wish it didn't, but that just when I first heard it, I was like, oh boy, you know, they're gonna go that route. The guitar portion and everything were fine, but I just feel like the guitar was too overpowering, you know. I feel like it was just guitar, and then it was just like everything else below it and Kill on top, you know. And maybe some people like prefer that, but I just prefer it to be even keel for everything and Kill on top, or vocal whatever on top, you know. So the song being stretched to what's like 16 minutes, it was a little bit longer than the last one. Well, way longer, because the last one was like about 10 minutes. It's nothing really to report on that either, you know. I mean, it's pretty much the same feel, same emotion, everything going through it, and you know, it was just a nice little stretch. There wasn't anything that major of a crazy brutal part, you know. So that's that. I mean, that's how I feel about the mixing, at least, you know. As far as Kill's vocals, Kill's vocals has improved miles and miles and miles since Macabre. You know, he's become a more solid vocalist. His growls and his screams are actually growls, shrieks, and screams. You know, I feel like in older and great, he was just built like screaming, like just like, ah! Into the mic, which I liked, but wasn't as good for preserving voice. You know, he is getting older, so he needs to make sure that he does that shit. It happens with a lot of bands, you know. Another band that I feel does that is like System of a Down, where like Serge is fucking like what 45 now, like he's old as hell. But if you listen to his older stuff, he was like, and it sounded really good. But when you get older, you know, and you playing those songs for lives and stuff, you gotta preserve the voice, so you're gonna change your vocal style up, and it doesn't have as much as a hit as it used to. Same thing with Mars Volta when they was doing shit. I'm talking about American bands right now, but still. Now, I will say one of the big things I liked about Macabre, the original, was the fact that Kill was untrained. You know, with that untrained voice, it comes across with the emotion. You know, the emotion isn't walled up by skill. You know, it's just out there. You know, which is why I really loved it. Well, one of the main reasons I loved it. Whereas this one, he was hitting the notes all perfect, and like he was doing everything so perfect, and that's good. You know, he's become a way more skillful vocalist, but that kind of just detracts from the emotion, the overall vibes I get from the song. So that's how I feel about the vocals. You know, again, I think that if I was gonna rate this thing, I was let down a little bit, but I would say the first half of the album was pretty good. The second half was, I wasn't feeling it. I think they were probably like, oh, we made tracks that are good. Let's keep going and keep going and keep going. But it didn't work out as best as I could. Now, am I saying this is a bad release? Fuck no, I'm not saying this is a bad release. I'm saying it could have been better. I'm saying there are potholes that I wish they could have smoothed over. I wish they would have stuck more to the blueprints of their older recordings, and not so much follow the blueprint of the newer stuff that they've been releasing, because it just doesn't translate well. It just doesn't. So I mean, I usually don't rate things, but given how much people want me to do this, I mean, I would definitely say it's like a 7.5. You know, it's definitely a good listen, but it could have been better. You know. So yeah, that's about it. Now, if y'all have anything to say, you can always just pop it on down here. Yeah, more videos to come, hopefully. If I can get a newer camera. And then we'll just go from there, yeah. With that, this is Disabled Conquestors. I will see y'all later sometime. Yeah. See ya. Peace.